Hey everyone! So in today's video, I'm just going to be talking about my CNA state exam experience and how I studied and how I prepared. I'm glitching today, like I literally cannot talk at all. So I don't know if this is the best day to film this video, but I really want to go ahead and get it up since I already took it. I took it last week, so I didn't upload a video last week because I was so nervous. But I passed on my first try, and these are my tips and my experience. Okay, so before I went ahead and took my state exam, obviously I went through a CNA program, and my program was 5 weeks. Really 4 weeks. We did 4 weeks of class and lab and stuff like that, and then we did a week of clinicals at a nearby, well, it wasn't that close actually. We did a week of clinicals at a nursing home, and then we signed ourselves up to take our state exam whenever we wanted to. So my class, this is a very small school. We were their first class ever. My class only had one other girl in it, and then there was a morning class that had one girl in it by herself. And I know that the last time I spoke to them, which is about a week ago, they hadn't signed up to take theirs yet, so I'm not sure, you know, where they're at in their progress or anything like that. But I was eager to start working. I am eager to start working, and I didn't want to wait to start making money because I have like rolling loud expenses and things like that. So I just wanted to sign up and take it as soon as possible, and I felt like I was personally prepared to take it as soon as I possibly could. So after I was done, I went ahead and signed up to take a state exam, and the closest date I could get was honestly like a month away, but that was okay because I signed up for it. Even though it wasn't close, I signed up and I was gonna take it. So the whole entire like month, it was like 3 weeks maybe, the 3 weeks before I went ahead and took my state exam, I was online studying for the written portion because I feel like a lot of people focus on the skills. For me personally, I had done the skills so many times in class and went over them so many times in the handbook that I was like, okay, now is the time to study for the written portion as well, because you know, if you don't pass that part, you're not passing either. So I feel like both parts are equally as important to study for. So first what I'm going to talk about is the written portion though. So like I said, I just went online and I typed in Georgia State CNA state exam practice, and then like practice tests would come up, and they are very accurate. That's all I'm going to say. The practice tests really do prepare you for the real test, and the questions are very similar, if not the same. So I would definitely look into those. My state offers you to take it, the written part, either like orally, or you can just like read it like a normal test. So you can get it read to you through like MP3 player, and that costs a little bit extra, or you can just do it traditional test style, and that's what I did. So mine was 70 questions, and 10 of them didn't count. They were like to see how they would do in it, and then they may add them, but yeah. So 10 of them didn't count. That means there was really 60 questions that counted, and I don't know how many that is. You can get wrong because I don't do math, but I passed. I know that, and it doesn't have like a grade or anything. It literally just said passed and passed. The best advice I can offer for the written portion is, 1, study the practice tests because they really will prepare you and help you. 2, when you're taking it, I would just make sure that I use the process of elimination because that is the thing that helped me the most. I know that they like to throw in questions that have like one that's obviously not right, like it's not even in. They'll ask you, this isn't one of my questions, I'm just making this up, something like, it'll be like a question and it'll be like, what mental disorder causes you memory loss or something like that, and then one of the answer options won't even be a mental disorder, so you know you can cross that one out, and then you use like educated guesses and the process of elimination to figure out the rest and figure out the best answer. That's what I mean by process of elimination. So you probably came here to hear about like the skills portion and how that is and how that's set up and all that, so I'm going to go ahead and get into that now. So I was the first to do my skills portion. I guess it's because of Alexa, I don't know, like she just made down a list and she brought me and this other girl in a room and we did it. But what you do is you walk in there, and after you're done taking your written portion, they're allowed to, for my state, they're allowed to show 4 people at a time the room and how it's set up, and mine was more than a room, it was multiple rooms, and then like the classroom areas. She showed us where she set everything up, and she showed us like where the hand sanitizer is, what we're using as what, things like that, so that you're very familiar when you are performing your skills and you don't have questions or anything like that. So one thing I'm going to go ahead and tell you is everyone will have to perform hand washing. Like that is the one thing everyone has to do because it keeps infection down, and if you can't properly wash your hands, you're going to fail. I can tell you that right now. So the 2 bold steps for hand washing are that you wash for 20 seconds, and that's singing happy birthday twice, and then you might want to just do a little bit of humming at the end so that you like if you sung your happy birthday fast, you know, you still get to the 20 seconds. And then the other bold step is that you rinse all surfaces and keep your fingertips down. So when you go to perform hand washing, you are going to walk in. So since you're not doing an actual skill, well, this is a skill, but you're not like working with a patient, you're going to say, like, knock on the door, say your name, and introduce yourself to the client, and then you're going to say, I'm going to go wash my hands, and then I will come back to complete the skill, or, you know, something like that. Just make up something to the patient. And real people play your patient, by the way. I had to brush someone's real teeth. I'll get into that later. So you're going to turn on the water. You're going to make sure that your uniform never touches the sink. You're going to wet your hands and wrists first, and then put soap. You're going to wash for 20 seconds, making sure that you get under the nails, and you're rubbing this hand on this one and this hand on this one, so that under your nails is being clearly shown that it's being cleaned, because they have to see that. And then you rinse your hands off, you pat dry starting from the fingertips down to the wrist, I think, and then you turn off the faucet. Make sure you do it with a napkin and not your hands, because that makes your hands contaminated again. When you walk in to do the skills portion, I'm going to let you know that, I don't know if this is for every state, but for Georgia, you get like, say this is like a big piece of paper. You get a piece of paper and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all your skills. The first one is going to be hand washing. Everyone will have one measurement skill, so the possibilities are blood pressure, radial pulse, respirations, urine output, and weight. So you will have one of those. I had the weight of an ambulatory client, and that is very easy. When you get a measurement skill, you basically introduce yourself, provide for privacy, identify the patient, all that, you know, your pre-procedure. You do it, and then before you record, you wash your hands. Before you record, you wash your hands. A really big piece of advice I would give is to talk through your skills as if you were talking to a real patient, because I know you're not going to sit there with a real patient and just be completely silent, because that's really awkward and stuff like that. And it's also awkward in this situation because you're working with a real person that's also taking their state exam that day. It'd just be really weird to just stare at them and not talk to them while you're doing things. So you want to communicate so that your evaluator sees that, you know, you're talking through it. And also, if you forget something, or say you like mess up a little bit, your talking may cover that up. This didn't happen for me, but I just know that's a good piece of advice that I can give you. You can really get any of the skills. So you're going to get hand washing and a measurement skill, but the other 3 are just going to be random skills. So I'd make sure you know your state skills that would be tested, all of them, front to back, study, study, study. If you don't like reading things and you're more of a visual person and you want to watch videos, I will link 2 of my favorite channels to study from down below. Those really helped, but I'm more of a sit there and read it over and over, like read the steps over and over and over, and it'll get stuck in my head and I'll know what to do, rather than the videos. Because when I was watching the videos, like, I feel like I was watching them, but I was zoning out and just like watching a movie or something, and I wasn't taking in each step and what I had to do. So I will link the channels, and then I will link Georgia's state pamphlet down below, but I don't know about any other state. A really big piece of advice is to not let your nerves get to you, because I know that when you're nervous you forget things, and when you're working with a real patient you're going to remember what to do, but when you're taking a test and you know you have that pressure of you're either passing or failing on you, it just gets really overwhelming. So I make sure that you try to calm down, and I know it's really hard in that situation, because I literally, not kidding, was about to like crap myself on the way there. Like, it was bad. My stomach was killing me. I felt like I was going to throw up. But when I got in there and I realized that, just to make it feel like I'm in class again, even though I only had one classmate, that's how this was. I was with one person, and then the teacher or the evaluator was watching me. So this is just like class to me, and I just calmed down and did what I did in class, and I passed with no problem. So just try to calm yourself down and think of it as you did when you were in class, because I know y'all practice it over and over. If you miss a bold step, you will fail the entire exam. I'll tell you that right now. So make sure you know your bold steps for every skill. Make sure you're reading. Make sure you're thinking, what is the bold step? What is a bold step? And pre and post procedure is pretty much the same for everything. You're just going to introduce yourself to the patient, identify the patient, provide for privacy, things like that. Every skill doesn't require you to wash your hands before, but to be safe you can. It's just not necessary. Also, every skill at the end you're going to wash your hands, and then You're going to make sure the bed is in the lowest position and that they have their car light. Those are the 3 things you need to remember. And then you're going to say skill complete. After you say skill complete, you cannot go back and change anything that you've done. Your skill is complete. You cannot revise it or anything like that. But while you're doing it, before you say skill complete, if you realize you forgot to do a step, you go back and you perform that section of the skill only. So you are allowed to do that. And definitely, if you realize, you know, you missed something, do it, then say skill complete after. So the 5 skills that I got were hand washing, mouth care, no, donning and removing PPE, mouth care, applying an elastic stocking, and measuring the weight of an ambulatory client. So hand washing I already went over. Mouth care you do perform on a real person, so just don't be scared. And make sure you just collect all your supplies. That's the one thing I will tell you. Anytime you're using water, not with mouth care, but anytime you're using water on like the body, if you get that as a skill, make sure you test the water yourself and have the patient test it. That's the 2 things I can tell you to remember. Make sure you always collect enough towels and enough clothing items. Like if you get the skill dressing an affected weak side, which is usually the right, I think it's always the right, they make you do the right, I'm pretty sure. Make sure that you give them 2 clothing options. This is just stuff to remember, like when you're doing it and you go in there, make sure that this is the type of stuff you remember. Anytime you're using water on the body, test the water yourself and have them test it. Anytime you need a basin, and when you're done with it, it's always going to go in the dirty supply area. Maintain clean techniques. Don't let stuff touch your clothes, things like that. Make sure you know your bold steps, like I said. Make sure you're locking the bed, making sure it's in the lowest position for safety. Like these are all things that they're going to be looking at too, to see if you like know what you're doing. Because if you do mouth care and you only get a toothbrush and then you have to go back and get the emesis basin and then you have to go back and get the little cup, like they're going to be like, oh, she's not remembering her supplies. So make sure you remember what supplies you need for everything. When you remove linen off of the bed or off of someone, it always goes in the dirty linen, which is the laundry. They'll tell you where that is in your testing facility. Always collect enough towels. Like if you're doing peri-care, I can tell you you're going to need 6 because you're going to need front and back. We'll need 1 to wash, 1 to rinse, and 1 to dry, so that's 6 in total. When you're doing feeding and mouth care, you always sit the patient up. After mouth care, they can lay down, but after feeding, they cannot lay down because that is like after you eat, you're gonna get like heartburn and stuff if you lay down. So make sure you remember that. If you get applying a stocking, it is going to be on a mannequin, and sometimes you can't get all the wrinkles out, but as long as you say the stocking is wrinkle free, that counts. Like you don't have to make all the wrinkles out because like the mannequin's legs are like really slippery and they're also like tiny, and the stocking's big and like way too long, so just say wrinkle free. What else did I have? Donning and removing PPE. You need to remember the order it comes on and the order it goes off, but they're only going to make you do the gown and the gloves, so you're not gonna have glasses and a face shield or anything like that, so it's not much to remember. Make sure that you put your gown on and then you put your gloves on, and you make sure that the gloves cuff over the gown. You take your gloves off first because it's the dirtiest part, and then you take your gown off, making sure you don't touch the outside to contaminate yourself, and you roll it away from your body. It's all things like that that you have to remember, like those little steps that you've been learning and practicing this whole time. Make sure you're remembering them now, because now is the time to apply them, and just it helps keep infection down and make a safe and clean work environment for you, because you don't want to be walking around with dirty stuff on you all day. So make sure you're not putting things on your uniform and things like that we've been taught this whole entire course. When you do weight, you have to make sure that you know, balance the scale out to 0 first, and even if you're not familiar with the scale, it's pretty easy. You literally just balance it to 0 and then slide it until I don't know what the thing is called, but until it's in the middle and floating, and then that's how much they weigh, and you go wash your hands and then report and record it. So it's not really hard. I'm very lucky for the skills I got, because hand washing, obviously everybody knows how to do that by now, I'd hope. Donning and removing PPE, so easy. Applying the stocking, literally barely any steps. The weight, barely any steps again, super easy. And then mouth care was a lot, but it was so easy to remember because you brush your own teeth every morning, and it's the same with a few more steps. For my state, you don't have to wear scrubs the day of the exam. You just have to wear a short sleeve shirt so that they can roll it up, and then like tennis shoes. So If you want to wear scrubs, you can. There was some people there in scrubs, but I didn't wear scrubs. I'd recommend having your hair pulled back just so it's not in your way. You need a watch with a second hand, and they recommended us bring 3 number 2 pencils, and I brought 3, and some people didn't have one, so I was being generous. So you can bring 3 or you can bring 1, I don't know, they have extra. I would just wear my normal like small earrings and make sure your nails are cut. I forgot to cut mine and so did other people, but those type of things aren't going to get you, you know, points taken off. You're not going to fail because you don't have your nails cut. It's just like you want to look as professional as you can that day. And make sure you know your skills because you will need them, and this isn't just something that you can learn for the test and then forget everything and not do it in the workplace. Like, this is the proper way to do everything, and this is the way you're going to be doing it every day. So I would really familiarize myself with the skills and the proper techniques, because that's the way you're going to keep the patient and yourself the safest and out of trouble. So last but not least, I would say to just learn about your state and your state specific rules. For me, I already went over all of this. This is the way things work for me, but your state can be completely different. You can have completely different skills that are required for your state. So I would just get familiar with your state, take those practice tests, watch those practice videos, and just go in with confidence and treat it as if you were in class but you have to pass a test or something, and just be confident in yourself and you should do fine. Or taking yours anytime soon or anything like that, I wish you the best of luck. I really hope this video was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, and stay tuned for more content. Oh, and if you have any more questions, just comment them down below and I will gladly answer.